You're never available, Michael. Never emotionally, never physically, you're like a ghost in your own house. Her voice hit me mid-sentence as I was answering an email for work, the words slicing through the quiet hum of my laptop. I froze, blinking at the glowing screen before turning toward her. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, frustration spilling off her in waves. I've been right here, I said quietly, my throat tight. Physically, sure, she shot back, pacing across the living room. But you're somewhere else. Always working, always distracted. You think paying bills replaces affection. Her anger was sharp, but underneath it, I sensed something else, distance, guilt maybe. It wasn't the first time she'd accused me of not being present, but tonight, it felt rehearsed, almost deliberate. I'm trying, I said, setting my laptop aside. You know this project is temporary. Once it's done, I'll take time off. We'll go somewhere, just us. She laughed bitterly. You've been saying that for 2 years. I'm tired of waiting for someday. The air thickened. I wanted to reach for her, to remind her of the nights we used to stay up until dawn just talking, but she turned away before I could. Where are you going? I asked. Out, she said flatly, grabbing her purse. With my friends. At least they don't make me feel invisible. The door slammed before I could answer. For a long time, I just sat there, staring at the space she'd left behind. Her words echoed, friends are forever, husbands come and go. She'd said that once before, laughing at a brunch with her girlfriends. Everyone had laughed, including me. But now, that line didn't sound like a joke. It sounded like a confession. That night, she didn't come home until after midnight. I pretended to be asleep when I heard her slip quietly into bed. She smelled like perfume that wasn't hers, something floral and expensive, not the usual citrus scent she wore. My chest tightened. I wanted to ask, but fear kept me silent. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I'd become paranoid. The next few weeks felt off. She was always out with the girls, but her stories never matched. One night it was dinner. The next it was a movie I knew hadn't come out yet. Her phone, once left lying around carelessly, was now always face down. The first time I saw the message, I wasn't even trying to look. Her phone lit up while she was in the shower. A name flashed, Evan. The message read, "Missed you last night. Hope you're free tomorrow." My stomach dropped. I sat frozen, staring at the screen as my pulse hammered in my ears. I could have opened it. I could have read everything. But I didn't. I locked the phone and placed it back exactly how I found it, as if touching it any longer would make the truth undeniable. That night, I lay awake again, listening to her breathing beside me. She looked peaceful, untouched by the storm building inside me. My mind raced. Who was Evan? A coworker? A friend? Or something else entirely? The next morning, I tried to act normal. You've been going out a lot lately, I said over coffee. She shrugged. It's called having a social life, Michael. You should try it sometime. You know I'm just asking. God, stop analyzing everything, she interrupted, her tone sharp. I'm allowed to have friends. I didn't say you weren't, I murmured. She set her mug down hard. You make me feel trapped. I can't breathe around your suspicion. That word, suspicion, hung between us like a challenge. I spent that week trying to convince myself she was right, that I'd become distant, cold, unromantic. Maybe this was my fault. Maybe she just needed space. But denial doesn't erase evidence, it only delays the inevitable. One Saturday evening, she claimed she was meeting her friends again. I told her I had late work, but after she left, I followed. Not out of anger, out of desperation for clarity. Her car led me across town to a dimly lit wine bar. Through the glass, I saw her laughing at a corner table. But she wasn't with her friends. She was with him. Evan. He was younger, confident, dressed like someone who never worried about bills or long workdays. I watched her reach across the table, fingers brushing his. Her face glowed in a way I hadn't seen in years. Something inside me cracked open. I felt anger, yes, but also an unbearable sadness, like watching a film of my life being rewritten without me. I didn't confront them. I couldn't. Instead, I walked back to my car and sat there for nearly an hour, replaying every conversation we'd ever had, every I love you, every apology I never gave when I should have. When she came home that night, she smiled faintly, pretending nothing was wrong. "Did you eat?" she asked, dropping her purse on the table. I nodded, pretending to. The silence that followed was heavy. I thought of the man at the bar, of her laughter, of the way she'd once told me that friendship mattered more than marriage. And maybe, for her, that had always been true. 2 nights later, I confronted her, not with accusations, but with exhaustion. "Are you happy?" I asked quietly. She looked up from her phone, startled. "What kind of question is that?" "An honest one." She hesitated, then sighed. "I don't know, Michael. I just feel lost. Like I'm living someone else's life." "Whose life would you rather live?" Her eyes flickered, guilt flashing just briefly before she hid it. I didn't mean it like that. But I knew she had. "I saw you," I said. "At the wine bar." The color drained from her face. "You followed me." I had to know. She didn't speak for a long moment. Then, softly, "It wasn't supposed to happen." Those words, "wasn't supposed to," were a knife. They meant it had happened. "How long?" I asked. "Months," she whispered. "But I didn't mean to hurt you. I just needed someone who made me feel alive again." I stared at her, trying to reconcile the woman in front of me with the one I married. "And I don't." She wiped at her eyes, shaking her head. "You used to. But somewhere along the way, we became maintenance. Not love." Her honesty hurt more than any lie could have. After she left the next morning, said she needed space, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at her untouched mug of coffee. The steam had faded, leaving nothing but a bitter scent that clung to the air. I thought about what she'd said, that I was never available. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had buried myself in work to avoid the emptiness growing between us. But I also thought about her words at the start of all this. "Friends are forever, husbands come and go." I realized then that she had already decided to let me go long before Evan entered the picture. He wasn't the cause, he was the escape. A week later, she came by to collect her things. She cried, said she was sorry, said she still cared. I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. When the door closed behind her, the silence felt final. I walked to the window and watched her drive away. The taillights disappeared into the distance, and for the first time, I understood something painfully simple. Sometimes betrayal isn't one moment of infidelity. It's every moment before it, every ignored distance, every quiet goodbye spoken in gestures instead of words. And when the person you love chooses to walk away, the real betrayal isn't that they stopped loving you. It's that somewhere along the way, they stopped even trying to.